Hi, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we get to talk to leaders about experiences that have shaped their exceptional lives. And today I am beside myself with excitement that I get a chance to speak with Dr. John Oda. Dr. John has a long and very successful story. His career has been very, I guess, successful in terms of just being human. He started his career as a clinical psychologist and was helping adults and teens to kind of get their acts back together. And he wrote a book here. Let me share that book with you um, that he wrote. And let's see, connecting with your teens. So would you co-wrote that book, Dr. John, or you wrote that?
I'm sorry. Then I wrote that book. That's the first
That
book I
was your
wrote
book,
back in 2006.
2006. Okay, awesome. And then you've got a second book that you wrote called Life is a Garden. So you
Absolutely.
transitioned from being a clinical psychologist into being a business coach and executive team leader.
Exactly. But no, let me tell you about this book right here, right? So the picture of that you see, that's my dad.
It is. Okay.
That's my dad is 53 years old in his garden, right? So my dad passed away back in 2014. The book came out in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then the book is based on the garden that I
Okay.
went to. It's from my dad.
Well, that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
the idea of life as a garden. You know, there's so many wonderful ways to describe.
Well, and life is a garden if you think about it, man. We plant seeds all day long. And I always ask myself, what seeds am I planting is today? Because whatever seeds you plant will grow. If it's negativity, if it's positive, if it's
Mhm.
doubt, if it's worry, if it's fear. And then what we do, we talk about it to everybody else, right? And then when we talk about everybody else, we're planting on water, we're planting on fertilizer. And then that darn thing grows so much, it turns into a Godzilla. Opposed of killing the monster when it's small. So when the weed is small, you pull that freaking thing out. Then you're great. But most of us, man, we want to just talk, 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 talk. And it's just almost like having a wound. It heals. You talk about it, you pull over the scalp, and you start all over again.
Ouch. I hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Good analogy. So now you're basically doing, let's see, you are now let's show your website here. You're Dr. John Oda Method, and you're
Yes.
helping businesses grow stronger, more efficient or effective, and faster. How do you do that?
Very great question. So here's what I do. It's a great concept, right? Since I have 35 years of mental health field, I first work on the mindset, figure out whatever blocks that they're facing, eliminate those blocks, and then from there we focus on business growth and business strategies. And what we do is we systemize the person's business. It's almost like, for example, if you go to like Starbucks, McDonald's, right? Now you can see an 18-year-old kid run it. Why? Because it's systemized. Most companies are not systemized. They don't have a system for anything. So then what happens is they don't grow so well. And after 10 years, 80% of companies fail. The reason why is a couple things. First, leadership, systemizing, and of course, most of people capital, right? But the biggest key is you want your company to run a systemized company like a McDonald's, Starbucks. I see 18-year-old kids there. I went all around the world. I know where the fries are and everywhere else. Left side is fries. Any country you go to now, the food might be a little bit different in Dubai or Japan, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I've
but
eaten at McDonald's in Japan.
yeah, but
It's the same.
it's the exact same thing. Why? Because everything is systemized. Now, if you take a person company, it's not systemized. They don't have a referral program. They don't have a reactivation program. They don't have a retention program. So how about if a client get mad and now they want to blow up? What is your system? I don't know. We have a problem now. That's what I hear. So, and so the biggest key is I do a business assessment, figure out what they're doing and what they're not doing, and we close the gaps. But the first thing I've got to focus on is most people want to say, oh, I can double their revenue, get the revenue, double profit. Now, when you double profit,
yeah, profit's really where it's at, right?
I mean, doubling
revenue's good, but what are you keeping?
Exactly.
What's going in the pocket?
Exactly. And I like doubling the profit because that's where all those success come in. Now, do I double as companies in revenue? Yeah. But my companies love me more when I double their profit. They go, oh my God, you're sent from God. I'm like,
so what does that mean, Dr. John? You're not just looking at the sales side, you're looking at operations. You're looking at going in and diagnosing, saying, okay, well, what about your accounts receivable? Do you get that level?
No, I look at everything. So I look at, so for example, I look at cutting the costs. I say, okay, guys, you have vendors. Have you tried to renegotiate your vendors?
Okay.
No. Okay.
That's powerful.
As I said, okay, now you're shipping for the last 3 years. Now you're shipping more. Have you went to like UPS and trying to actually renegotiate that? No. Well, then how about this? I would do that for you. Now, think about it. You save 10 to 15 to 20% of a year. That goes directly in your net profit. Or better yet, though, you have a merchant account. When you first started, you're doing like $1 million. Now you're doing 10 million. Did you ever try to change some of those rates? Or else they charge you the exact same rates again, right?
Makes a huge difference.
Now, if you minus that by 33% on that bottom line, it goes straight to the profit. And non-profit-wise, your net profit grows. So it might be started at 18. Now you're making a net profit of 20, 25, 30%. And it makes a complete difference inside your business. So what it is, I'm not like this architecture with the beautiful buildings. That's not me. I'm the civil engineer. I take the grunt.
You doing roll those
I roll up my sleeves. I get the little messed up.
Like,
look at the sewer and the sidewalks and the nasty stuff.
All the ugly stuff.
What it is, I focus on a foundation. Now, if you have a strong foundation, you can build your company even on sand, and you can still have a successful company.
So one of the things I love about your background too is that you have the clinical psychology side and the business side. So you're strong in both those areas, and having that ability to go in and look at that and create culture, maybe tweak a few things and help people to get rid of some of the hangups that they've got that would help move the business along a little quicker too, right?
Absolutely. And culture is huge. I'm happy you mentioned culture is huge. I go in some organizations, their culture is nasty. It's a dog-eat-dog, cutthroat attitude, and no one wants to grow. Or as I work for a sales organization, they say, I'm Seward. And I looked at those guys and said, could you imagine a freaking Seward? What's in a Seward? They said, crap, all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, and that's how you say that you are. And then when I says, now you are labeling yourself as being, I'm Seward. So now if you're Seward, are you going to close a deal? Are you going to make any more money? Because of the title you've given yourself. Now it's a label, right? So I'll give a great example. You go to a psychologist who think he knows something about what's going on, and it could be culture issues. He said, oh, you have schizophrenia. Go to another one. Oh, you have depression. Now, but my biggest thing about it, why label somebody negatively? Why don't you label them as on a positive note, right? Opposed to say, it appears that you might have this and you might not have this. Let's figure out what's actually taking place. But if you go to a psychologist, 6 of them, you'll get 6 different diagnoses. The sad thing about it is, they go to great schools, they mean extremely well. Sometimes I say it's culture. Some cultures could be like, we have this one person came in, she was from India, and she was seeing spirits and everything else. One guy said, oh, she's schizophrenia. I said, no, it's culture. It's not schizophrenia. I said, does she have one episode and this is culture? Oh, no, you don't know. I'm like, okay, listen to that. So I can respect your opinion, but to me, you have to look into culture as well. Or some guys, they can be outgoing and wild and crazy. Oh my God, John, he's bipolar. Why would you say that? You go from one extreme to the next. Know about that, right? So everybody have a different thing, but I watch my labels. And then in a workforce, you have three types of people, right? Well, you have three types of leaders, right? In any workforce, you
Three
have
types of leaders.
three types of leaders, and this is the Carl Scott model. This is one of my mentors, right? He says there's three types of leaders. There's a leader that is destructive, calling in work, negativity, toxic, the whole nine yards. You have a leader that's neutral. He doesn't do that much. So he won't go the extra mile. So he said, okay, John, do X, Y, and Z. That's all he would do, and that's it. No more and no less. Then you have a person that's effective. We're talking about, man, these guys kick butt. They are communicating. They're reading, man. They're doing amazing, right? Now, when you get a destructive leader, you fire the person because he's not going to change. A neutral leader will change in the right environment / culture. They will change, right? Most CEOs, if they're effective, they're going to win. Let's go backwards. Remember Blockbusters back in the day?
Yep, I remember that.
Blockbusters was everywhere.
Right.
Fortune 500 company, they're doing crazy. They're a blockbuster everywhere, right? You're taking these movies, pick them up, be late, and they charge crazy fees. This little company came in there, right? Said, hey, listen to me. This freaking internet's out. We got this great concept streaming online, and people love it. They said, listen, now, Blockbuster was making $4.8 billion at the time with the B. Let's listen to me. Let's sell this for about $10 million or so. We'll partnership, and we'll go from there. They laughed at him. Now, the Blockbuster would have signed this deal. I think they would have been the first $1 trillion company. But they laughed at him. The little company got somebody to invest in them, and we all know who Netflix is. Netflix took over 65% of the business. Now, Blockbusters tried to, do the exact same thing, but it was too late. And the reason why, there's a couple of things, the reason why was leadership. They did not have an effective leader. See, an effective leader will look 10 years in the future and say, okay, here's what we're doing right now. This internet's out right now. Let's do something different, and maybe we can actually go X, Y, Z in innovation.
Yeah, Kodak did the same thing. They did exactly the same thing, but they didn't want to create a situation where they were cannibalizing their existing business to bring on something new. So they were afraid.
And what is afraid? A destructive leader. Someone who's not looking inside the future. See, an effective one will look in the future, figure out what's going on, and say, listen to me, when we make $4.8 billion, with $10 million, would that even hurt us? Let's get the freaking thing anyway. If it works, beautiful. If it doesn't work, at least we still own it.
Right.
But most people don't think strategically. What they think is more of a tactician. If I do this, I'm not going to do it. A tactical approach is a website. Tactical. A business card. Tactical. All that's tactical. But what is strategic? It's education. It's being effective. It's looking inside the future. And they're figuring out, okay, if I have a business, how will my business be 10 years from today? And then
Great
focus
question.
on that way. Because now, think about it, man. COVID was a shock.
Yeah.
And we are now I'm doing a Zoom meeting for a seminar.
Okay. I bet that's kind of
that is the
you
most
never thought
weird,
that would happen, did you?
That was the most weirdest thing in their freaking life. I told the guys, man, hey, I fly out there, man, because I like to engage in the crowd, tease them a little bit, beat them up a little bit. So much better that way. But it's like, I said, but hey, if you guys pay me, man, I'm there. I'm cool. I mean, then we'll do this, right? But everything's now online. One of my other mentors is Tony Robbins, right? So I'm going to his program tomorrow. And I used to always go apply to seminars and workshops, and I worked for Tony for about close to a decade, from 08 to 16, right? On the business side. Okay. It's him and Chet Holmes, right? Very good. So at UPW, normally about 5,000, 6,000, maybe 8,000 people. We're online now. So guys, online. They got 40,000 people.
Wow.
And on the average, was it $600?
So that's good. You get to scale it up. It's
And now, but here it goes. He focused on innovation. So what Tony did on COVID, he made his whole downstairs a studio with screens and everything else. And then he can do it in the comfort of his own basement. Well, his little mansion, well, his little man cave. He can do it down there. And he got, was it 40? I think he got 60,000 streams, and then he can look at all the people that's in the seminar.
wow.
Amazing but now what it was innovation.
Sure. So he had to spend quite a bit of his capital on converting that basement, I'm sure, and creating that infrastructure so that he could do those.
Absolutely.
So he invested up front.
Well, it was probably him or else his
sure. Yeah, whatever it was. They had a mind to focus on that and to solve that problem and to do it right.
Absolutely. Because what we are is we're solutions, right? So what I tell people up front, I says, when you have a problem or a challenge, whatever that you call it, I focus 95% on the solution. And then the rest of the 5 is just a challenge, because I can overcome a challenge, right? If it's a problem, I can't overcome a problem. A challenge, well, we can figure out what's going on. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken, might look like one. Thank you so much. But, I'm not, right? So I come up with solutions. Okay, what can I do? I've been around, 58 years, right? Almost 59 on Monday. But I said, listen to me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And my biggest thing about it is, wait a minute, I've been around, I know I can solve this issue. That's actually taking place. But opposed to me focus on the problem and calling up everybody else and planting those crazy negative seeds, and watering and everything else. Solution, that's it. And that's the focus.
That's leadership right there. So, Dr. John, what were the roots of your experiences in leadership? How did you, I mean, you're obviously a very dynamic leader. You talk to thousands and thousands of people every month. And you have a great system that you're teaching now to create success. And I'm seeing a lot of joy and gratitude and love going on. You're just pouring this out. And I want to see where that comes from. What are the roots of that for you personally? Can you share that?
The roots of that is mom and dad.
Okay.
My parents, I have to tell you, God rest their souls, they were amazing. So I'm 8 of 10. So I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers. I'm number 8. So I have 2 younger sisters, but mom and dad. And the cool thing about mom and dad for me is, right, when dad had me, dad was 42. So by the time that he had me when I was a kid, man, he was like poetry in motion, right? But growing up, right, man, I went to a private school, so we all did, right? So let's do a background. My mom was a preacher kid, and mom went back in Mississippi, and dad was back in Mississippi. Mother wanted to move back to be by a beach and have 10 kids. That was the goal. That was my outcome. That was the outcome. And dad
kids.
And dad said, "My God, 10 kids? Ooh, I love a woman who wants 10 kids. We're gonna have fun for a while, right?" That's just my crazy thinking, right? So then what happened was, Mama moved to Michigan City, Indiana. No, you're gonna think this is really crazy, Jim, right? We live 3 blocks from the beach.
Wow. So that was manifestation right there.
3 blocks from the beach, and mother had exactly 10 children.
Wow.
She had children from age 18 to 38 years old. 20 years of kids, right? But mother and father to me was wisdom and knowledge. By the time that they had me, and here goes, all the family is successful. I mean, we have, 4 doctors in the family. The 3 of them are business administration, doctors in a DBA, right? So we have 3 of them, and then I'm the only PhD in the family. All the rest of them have masters, masters, bachelors. So the key was, mom said that we're all going to graduate. We're all going to college.
So that was her dictate. Everybody's going to graduate.
Mom and dad said the same damn thing. We're going to college. So I remember at one time at 14, I said, "Hey, mom, dad, let me take care of you guys. I can stay at home." Mom and dad gave me some colorful language. I said, "No, you're not going. You're going to college." Because dad said, "Son, I worked 2 factory jobs." And then at first he worked for Pullman, then Pullman burnt down. So we had to work 2 factory jobs just to get paid for what Pullman was paying him, right? So he worked 2. He said, "I work with my hands. You work with your head." But mother and father, man, there was an acknowledgement. I mean, mom was, so then as we grew up Catholic, right? Because back in the day, you couldn't go to a Catholic church unless you became a Catholic. So imagine,
Right.
so we're the first Black family in that school. And of course, I mean, we have history there, but it was just the most beautiful thing. But mom and dad, I mean, they were poetry in motion. I mean, dad died about 9 years ago, and mom died almost 5 years ago. It'll
Wow.
be 5 years. It'll be the 17th of March, and dad died April the 2nd. Yeah, so it's coming up. These couple months around here is a little bit crazy, but with time, anything gets better. But for my leadership and my wisdom, come from mom and dad, and of course, well, the most awesome one, of course, is God, right? Because you have to study it, you have to become it, and you have to experience it to actually understand upon to actually become a leader, right? And my whole thing about it is the speed of the leader, the speed of the pack. So however I dictate myself, that's everybody else in and around me that is going to dictate myself. So if I have fear, worry, stress, so in hell is what everybody else have, right? So my whole attitude is no. In the morning time, I do my ritual for about 35 minutes to an hour. And by the time I get done, my ritual / prayer, man, I'm ready to rock and roll throughout the whole day. Let's turn this stuff on and then let's move forward, right? So, yeah, but that's pretty much my story. Is mom and dad was my biggest catalyst. Love them to death. When you come in my house, if you ever come here, you see a picture of mom and dad right there, smack in the middle. I mean, they are the center of everything. So yeah, so that's pretty much where I came from.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So I'm curious too about your interest in mastery of NLP. How has that helped you?
Very good question. NLP came on when I was probably about late 20s. I was doing mental health, and mental health was not working that well. It's taking so long. 2, 3.
When
5,
you say,
10.
Explain that. What does that mean? Mental health.
So mental health, when I was doing counseling for parents and teenagers, so where I was working at the hospitals or clinics or private practice.
Okay.
It was taking too long. Meaning that
okay.
people's having problems
for taking too long.
Therapy was just taking too long. It's like
you go see a client, you weren't getting the results you wanted.
You see a client for years, same issue. Or
I thought that was part of the business plan. So you keep coming for years and you keep making money on them.
It might be that, but that was not my business plan, right? My business plan, I don't want to help people. I don't want to have them come back again.
Okay.
I mean, if you do it the right way the first time, they'll have to come back again, right? And that's the way it should be. The model of the mental health is not like that, right? It's pretty much your model, right? But I don't want that, right? So I started England. I read this book, Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, and that's how I got introduced to it back in '89.
Okay,
like, man, this stuff is great.
Yeah,
wow, man. Then I got hooked up with a guy named Dr. Horton. And I was back in '95. So, and here's a funny thing about it is I'm still hooked up with Dr. Horton. I go to training once a week, man, every Wednesday at 9 o'clock my time.
Okay.
And I go through training because I don't use it as much as I used to. So when I learned it in '95, I became a practitioner and I was working in the mental health field. And Jim, I was a rock star, man. I mean, a rock star. We're talking about these kids were just
what is, in essence, what is NLP and how did it help you to become a rock star?
So NLP is the nervous system.
Right. So it's neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah, right. So it's
so that means brain cells.
Exactly right. So of how the brain works.
Yep.
Linguistic is language. How you use is your language patterns and how you receive it, and the subconscious mind, and the programming is how you actually process it inside a person. Right. Some people, so in the practitioner world, it was more of open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes, close your eyes, and put them in a nice trance, right? And then we can actually work with them. Right. The master levels and trainers and the master trainer the program's just words that we use them, and then it's the language patterns, and we can still put them in a state and actually speak to the subconscious mind. All right. So in mental health, when I did the work with psychology, it would take me years to do anything. Doing this would take me sessions.
Wow.
And it would be
so that's great training. So now I'm picturing you going, working with executives or executive teams or groups within bigger companies and helping them with these tools as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. We do that, and then we also get rid of the blocks that's going on. Something, it could be like this.
Like what kind of blocks? What are the common blocks?
Common blocks, a sales guy. His mom told him that he'll be a loser and he can't make any money. Man, 40 years later, man, he's not making money. He's a loser, right? So I'll figure out, okay, where did that come from? Figure out what's going on. Then I do like a timeline therapy, erase all that crazy, all that stuff, change it, come on back. The guy's a different person. Or maybe I might change his cell modalities or change a little bit X, Y, and Z, speak to a subconscious mind. I might work on them for about an hour and then come back again, man. He says, man, I feel 100% better. Great, it works. All right. Sometimes I can get done in a session, sometimes a couple of sessions and I'm done. Like people, they contact me in my gym. Hey, man, can you hook me up? Yeah, man, come on by. Hit them up. Because it's practice for me, right? Because I don't practice much. And I want to see how great I was. When I used to live in back in the state of Washington, I used to do one session therapies.
Wow.
Come on in.
What kind of outcomes could people get from that?
They're done. I mean, my skill set, I mean, my skill set is damn good, man. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. It's just any behavior problem. It's easy. It's really easy. It's easy when you know how the brain works.
Right? Yeah.
So, okay, so
that's what you learned.
So I took it back in 1995. I became a master trainer in 2010, and I had to redo it again about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we have to redo it again. So of course, I can certify a person. I can train a person. So I do all this stuff, and it's fun. It's a fun thing. Adding that with business coaching and with peak performance. Now they're training like an athlete, the mindset wise. It's amazing. I have a couple of clients. I want to be Kobe. Well, we can do that. I said, but remember, Kobe practiced 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Are you practicing your presentation? Are you practicing your skill set?
Yeah, you got to put the work in, right?
Because again, it's daily practice. What are you practicing each and every day? And if you can't practice those things, they're not going to happen.
Yep. Success leaves clues and habits.
Absolutely. And you can look at a successful person. These people do a lot of things that an unsuccessful person won't do.
Right.
They don't feel like doing it. Or say this takes too much time. Like every morning I wake up in the morning, I do my incantations. With feelings, with emotions, I say that for 40 minutes. And then I do from that another song, and then I give God a praise party. I do meditation every day. You know what I mean? I do a lot of different stuff for the mindset. Because if you don't, there's so much crap that comes in the mind. You're crazy doubt. I mean, it's I don't know what you know. I have this guy, a little mean guy, a little nice guy, and they go fight back and forth and everything else. Then I have social media, then I have this, and I have that, then I have everything else going on. Family, sister, family, clients are like, Kevin, I take it away.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial? You know what I mean? So it's just all those things that's taking place. And if you cannot work on your mindset, somebody else will.
That's
Society
important.
Will. TV will.
Yeah.
People's going to influence you. So
right. You don't even know. It's happening right there. It's going all the time.
It's going.
You're not managing it. It's managing you.
Then I tell parents and sisters, if you cannot influence your kid, the drug dealers will. The pimps will. Somebody will influence them. It might as well be you. Right? But again, though, and I tell parents up front, you got to gain rapport with your kid. Well, they're my kid. They should love me. No, that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, too. I mean, I've got 2 beautiful daughters, and thank the Lord that I was successful bringing them up, my ex-wife and I, but it's not easy. There's no rule book. There's no right or wrong
There's
way to do it.
no book about how do you raise this little monster
Yeah, right.
to be successful. Then
Not easy. It's good to have people that good to have doctors like you that people can go to get reference and get help when they need it.
I mean, and that's the really key, right? And for me, so leadership is a couple of things, right? And leadership, when you can lead an adolescent or a parent to success, that's pure leadership, because now you can change their whole dynamics in the whole family. I had in my program,
for generations too.
Yeah, I had over 100,000 kids come to my program. Who had a 90% success rate. I'll tell you how I consider success. 90% of them graduate college. It could be trade school, associates, bachelors. We have a lot of pilots, doctors, MDs. I mean, we have a little bit.
You're still doing that.
Yes, we had a little bit of everything that comes through the program, right? But we teach them the same skills of that their parents are going through and paying all these crazy amount of money, because they're learning at a really fraction of the price. Now they know what their mission statement is. Now they know how to gain rapport. Now they know confidence. And they know all these little small things that were not taught at school. Right? I was working with this one kid who was considered the worst kid in the state of Oregon. Worst kid. They said, John, he's a loser. He'll never graduate college. He never graduated high school. So interesting. He came to me, a big old pile. I looked at him up. I threw him all away. I said, man, these people don't know who you are. Wow. Really? I said, yeah, I don't know who you are, man. Like, so we talked every X, Y, and Z. 2-3 months later, I said, okay, I'm done with them. She said, you done? Yeah, he'll be fine. I'd probably tune him up once a year and come back. The kid graduated high school. They said he never did it, graduated high school. They wanted to put him back in his mom's house. So his junior year, he said, no, he wanted to be in foster care. So he knew if he'd be in foster care, he can get a full ride. So he got a full ride for the University of Oregon. Graduated 4 years. He called me up. He said, hey, Coach, can you make me a time management system so I can have fun, see girls and everything else? I said, that's a good question. I said, I'll hook you up. And I made it for him. And of course, and now it's so advanced than when I first made it. It's just amazing, but that all came from him. And then he went to Navy. So he graduated in 4 years, a double major. He went to the Navy. Now he's a commercial pilot flying private airplanes.
Wow.
And he looks at me, he says, no one believed me except for you. I said, let me tell you, I says, you had to do the work. I just gave you the tools. I says, I said, give you the tools. I said, you came to the seminars and workshops. I says, I tune you up, and that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, I said it, but for you, where you're at being a commercial pilot, flying these private airplanes. I mean, he told me that him and his he was a co-pilot. Now he's a captain. He said, man, I just flew a Gulfstream. I said, take a picture of it. I said, that's my dream one. I'm like, yeah, right. That is my dream. I said,
G6.
Yeah. So they said, man, you should buy one. I said, really? I said, I want a 700. He said, it's only 90 million. I said, man, let me look at my trust fund and let me see if I can, pull that out. I should go for it. I said, yeah, only 90 million.
You're right.
But it's just, those are the small things, man, means a lot, because I get Father's Day emails, happy Father's Day, thank you so much. And, and they say, thank you for loving yourself, because you helped me so much, because I'm a stickler on training and confidence. Because if you don't have that, I don't care what walk of life you would never have.
That's the love, appreciation, and gratitude all flowing out right there.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's like, but again, though, my mom was an RN, a registered nurse. She would go in the neighborhood and help people out, take their blood pressure, figure out what's going on, explain what's going on. Dad had a big garden. So we had about an acre, about a half an acre in the garden, right? Daddy would have me go to friends that was not working and bring them food. So, Dad, we're charging them. He said it in colorful language. Oh, you better go there and just deliver the food to them, deliver food for them. So when you see your parents give, it's just natural to give. So my first instinct is just, okay, well, if you want to, let's do it then, right? It's just because that's what you see as a kid so much. They'll just give their time and the food and just help out everybody else so that actually they could be. So daddy got his garden fed the whole neighborhood. And I was working like a three-legged mule. No one wanted to help me out. They'd come by, Mr. Dustin, can you get me some greens? John, get us some greens. I'm like, man, she didn't help out. Boy, get us some greens. Yeah, man.
All right. That's beautiful. Well, time's going so quick. I'm loving this conversation. I think we need to ask you one last question before we wrap up.
Okay, and so what is the last question then?
The last question is, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I
am ready.
What's the biggest leadership success that you've had, and what has that how has that changed your life?
Big leadership success
Yeah.
I had. Don't want to sound like I'm very I can't choose. And the reason why, it can be my parenting teams was a huge one.
Mm.
It can be my businesses and companies of I'm training right now, right? And I would, and then as I probably say, a combination of both, right? When you can change a person's life and their destiny and their strategy forever, it's a complete win, right? But then when you can work with a business owner who's struggling and you can show them how to double and triple and quadruple their profit, you change the whole legacy of everything else, right? So for me, I would have to go back and it's almost like the double Dutch going. So I'm going in and out, but it would be both of those things, right? Because when you take a family and change them totally, and a business and change it. To me, I tell people I can work with adolescents, teenagers, and a CEO and get the same result because it's just a mindset. That's all it is. There's nothing differently, right? So if I would have to, I couldn't pick, right? Because both of them take leadership, and both of them take walking your talk. And then if you cannot walk your talk, well, they're not going to actually do it. And if you're not going to make it fun or exciting, or show them the benefit of how actually how this a change. Or I worked with a client about 3 or 4 years ago when they hired me. They're doing about $300,000 in revenue. And they had this one partner. I said, we need to get rid of them. Why? Destructive, toxic, every day. So of course they bought them out. So it's okay. Here's what we're gonna work on this X, Y, and Z. We worked together for 3 years. She went from $300,000 to $7 million. She paid off her mother, who gave her the money up front. She she bought a house in Florida. She expanded her house to, was it from 2,500 to like 5,000 in Wisconsin. Then she bought some Harley Davidsons. She sold the company. I said, let's not sell it right now. Give me 1 more year. We can make it to about $14 to $20 million, and that's where you want to sell it. Oh, coach, come on. I'm tired of it. If they sold it, they got like, I think $2 million a piece, right? No big deal. The company took over. They were the CEO and the president, right? For another 2 years. She said the following year they made $20 million. And she says, I should listen to you. I said, well, you didn't do bad. We went from $300,000 to $7 million. We still made $2 million from I said, you guys did extremely well. I wish that you would have, because we could have really made a killing. So, but you did a great job, right? So those are some of the stories, right? But I had the same equally ones when I work with parents and teens as well, right? I mean,
it'd be a tough choice.
So it's a hard choice to actually make. So I would have to say both.
Okay, so fair enough. Both. Well, they're both awesome. So
anyway, man, but thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I had fun.
Me too.
It brought back some memories and stories that I've been told in a long time. And I do appreciate that part. I do appreciate that part, man. Now, did you tell them that I'm only in Irvine?
I haven't told them anything. So let's talk about how to get in touch with you.
Oh, great.
I was going to put all that in the show notes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Then you can put them in the show notes. Well, then I just said anyway. So you can, get of course, the website. Phone number is 833-337-6466.
Got it.
Of course, guys, I'm Jazz, guys. Thank you so much, Jim. We need to keep in contact, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Keep in
It's great
contact,
chatting
man.
with you, Dr.
All
John.
right, man.
Thank you for your time.
No problem, man. Take care and God bless you, man.
God bless you
Bye for
too.
now.
Bye-bye.